Hello everyone, Fanta here, you're watching FANTAVISION, and today we are discussing Amazon's entry into the cloud gaming market. There's already xCloud and Google Stadia, but now we have the Amazon Luna. I don't quite know where they got the name, but that's what it's called. The Amazon Luna. What is it exactly? Is it just another Google Stadia? Well, it actually sounds more like a Game Pass type subscription, where it's sort of like Netflix, where it's got a whole bunch of games and you just get to play those games while they're on the service for free, and then they'll cycle in and out. It's saying hundreds of games, and it gives a couple of examples of not so great titles when it comes to value. It's like Resident Evil 7, which has been given away for free already a bunch of different times. It's already a budget title, and then a bunch of other indie games that, again, have been offered for incredibly cheap on other platforms. But before we get into the details, of course, please do subscribe and like the video. It really does help. So let's discuss the pricing difference between the other systems besides just what the details are. So Google Stadia right off the bat is $10 a month. This is going to be $6 a month for early access, which means I'm assuming that this will also be $10 a month once this whole early access period is over. I really don't like these introductory prices because they're a bit misleading, because just tell us what the price is. What the price is what the price should be. I don't like it with internet. I don't like it with cable. Just tell me what the price is and stop trying to confuse me. The controller also has an introductory price of $50, whereas after the early access period, it will be $70. And the controller, it doesn't look bad, but it looks like they just took their favorite parts of the Switch Pro controller and the Xbox One controller. It's got the basic design of the Switch Pro controller with the analog sticks of the Xbox One controller. Not necessarily a bad looking controller, but overall, it's nothing really that unique. And again, if you're wondering, why would I even get one of these controllers? Why wouldn't I just use one of my own? Because you can use your own controller. Supposedly, just like the Stadia, it has less input lag and it syncs up directly to the service itself, whereas your controllers are going to have a bit more input lag because it's either being hooked up to your phone or your computer. Also, just like Google Stadia, this is going to be available on your phone as well as your computer, but unlike the Stadia, instead of their own little Google box stick, whatever they call it, this is the Fire Stick. So it's just the same thing, but with their own proprietary branded product. Now let's get into the details of what this service actually is. Like I said, it's a Game Pass Netflix style service where they're going to have things cycling in and out that are just included with the service. However, unfortunately, because that doesn't sound that bad. It doesn't. For that little bit of money, it sounds like a great budget option into gaming. However, they have channels. Like, we're already hearing, as soon as I heard video game channels, I immediately thought of, oh great, this is just what cable is like. This is what the problem was with cable TV and what the problem has become with all these different streaming services. You have to pay for individual channels, which looks like it's going to be company specific, starting with Ubisoft, which is coming soon. There are no pricing details on these channels, but that is going to exponentially increase the price of this service. And that takes that $6 or $10 a month, and it's potentially going to double or triple that payment every month and make it not as great of a value. You, of course, can pick and choose your channels in the future, I'm sure, and they'll have bundle options, again, just like cable. But just like cable, that stuff is going to start adding up. And the unfortunate thing with all these different services that are subscription-based is once you stop paying for them, you no longer have access to any of these titles. Now in Stadia, you'll still have access to the titles you've purchased through whatever the premium version of Stadia is, but that's because you've purchased them. Those are still available. This is going to be a straight up subscription service, so once you stop paying, all of your access is revoked to these games. But even with that in mind, I still think that the Amazon Luna has the ability to be a better value proposition than the Google Stadia, because Google Stadia, they're trying to charge you $60 for most games. Yeah, it comes with a couple that are free, but overall, if you want to play these games, you're spending $60. I don't think any digital game, in my opinion, is worth that $60 price tag when the physical variant is just as much, if not cheaper. And the thing is once Google Stadia ceases to be, we've seen this happen with other Google platforms. Google Plus doesn't exist anymore. There are plenty of things that Google has done that they gave up on when they did not do well. And Google Stadia hasn't been the most profitable thing for them. It hasn't grown in popularity like they wanted it to. So if Google were to stop supporting Stadia, all those games you bought are going to be gone. Whereas with the Amazon Luna, you were just paying a subscription to begin with. You didn't pay a full $60 for games. You were just paying monthly to have access to a bunch of different titles. You're not going to be as heartbroken when the service is over. That being said, I still don't think that we are in the space where a streaming gaming platform is viable. I just don't. I believe the United States has, I don't know if it's the worst, but definitely some of the worst internet compared to any other first world country. Our internet here is severely lacking. The infrastructure has not been updated like it should be. Our prices are worse than a lot of other places. We have data caps in a lot of places. It's just a mess here. And until the bandwidth is better, the connection is more reliable, until all of these different things are fixed, we're not going to be seeing these things as a widespread phenomenon. We're not going to see a huge amount of people adopting these because they simply can't afford the internet to begin with. We're constantly being told, oh yeah, you only need like 35 megabits for like 4K or 1080p, 60 frames per second perfection. But we saw with Google Stadia, that's simply not true. Time and time again, the video game industry has shown that it cannot handle a large amount of people. Every single time an expansion comes out for World of Warcraft, I don't know about anymore because popularity's gone down a lot, but it would always crash it. It would always bring it down because so many people were trying to get on at the same time. How is that going to work with these cloud-based games? If you really do get enough people, I feel like you're gonna feel the bandwidth of everybody trying to use it at the same time. I just don't think we're there yet for technology, and I feel like it's a dystopian future if these do catch on. Game Pass is something I can wrap my head around because we know it's not a streaming platform, it is access, but it is still something that worries me a little bit. We see EA doing it, Ubisoft doing it, Microsoft is doing it, Sony's doing it. All of these different gaming platforms are trying to push their own subscription service because they know that is the best way to make the most amount of money. If they are getting people to pay a subscription fee for these games, they're guaranteeing income. There's no bad selling games anymore. It's just people paying a subscription with games being thrown in there. And I don't know if you've noticed, but the games going to Game Pass, I mean, they have not been great. Crackdown just was not that great. The new Gears of War, the new Halo game, there's so many different games that look like corners are being cut just because they know they are going to be on Game Pass, so not as much is expected of these games. And I feel that if we go towards that subscription model, if we go towards these streaming package deal models in the future, games are going to be less and less of something that you should look forward to. It's going to be less critical that something sells super well as long as it's just new content. Look at how many of these Netflix exclusive shows are just hot garbage. How many of these things that are made just for Hulu are not good. Yeah, there are definitely some diamonds in the rough there. There are some great shows. Amazon has The Boys, but there's so many other Amazon shows I don't care about, but they have to keep pumping out new content to keep people subscribed. Once games become digital only, even if we just talk about digital, if they just become digital only, the control of the pricing and everything is going to be so much more in the hands of these companies instead of where physical titles, there are all these different retail chains that are competing with each other, and they're able to put games a lot cheaper, a lot faster. Now, if we look at the subscription model, if we see that as our future, it's going to be a mess. It's going to be like how video streaming has slowly become a mess over time. We start with just Netflix. which had everything that most people wanted to watch. And then Hulu popped up and started siphoning off some of those. So now you've lost your shows that you liked and now they're on Hulu. So if you wanted the same amount of shows as before, you had to have both subscriptions. And then Amazon started making their own stuff. And then now there's Peacock, which has taken all The Office and Parks and Rec and all those different things off of Netflix. So now you have to have 3 subscriptions to have everything. And then there's HBO, which has even more things. And then, I mean, there are so many different streaming platforms. There's probably like 20 now. And the thing is there are so many people that were cutting the cord to their cable companies. They stopped paying for cable. They were done with all that crap. They were tired of paying for bundles. They just wanted to stream stuff. Now they're paying for a streaming bundle. They're just buying. They have to get Disney Plus and Amazon and all these different things again, and it's almost the same exact price that they just left. It'll be truly interesting to see where video games are at in the next 5 years. That's all I'm saying. Because believe it or not, these companies do not care about being customer friendly. I mean, they just don't. They care about one thing, and that's your money. That's the only thing they care about you, is your money. And if we see all these companies pushing towards streaming, pushing towards digital, believe it or not, it's not in your best interest. It's for their best interest. So overall, the Amazon Luna, if we look at it by itself, we take out all the issues that it could cause in the future. We take out all the issues when it comes to internet bandwidth and speeds and data caps. If we look at it just by itself, isolated as a product, it has potential. It really does. If they hold on to that $6 a month, which I don't think they will, it's probably gonna be 10. Let's just say it's $10 a month. If they make it $10 a month and you get an expanding library of games you can just play whenever you want, and the streaming platform is actually playable, and it isn't full of input lag and a bunch of server issues, I could see it being a good introduction into video games. What will really determine whether or not this service can be a good value is how much these extra companies are going to charge for their game channels. If we look at EA as an example, I believe EA Play is like $5 a month. $5 for each company you're interested in. I mean, you're getting really close to paying just as much a month as you would if you're getting the all-access Xbox Pass that gives you an Xbox Series X, Game Pass, Xbox Live, all of those things wrapped up into one a month. I mean, if you look at those pricing models versus what this could inevitably turn into, the Series X is still somehow the better value. However, this would be a no commitment thing, whereas the Series X would be a 2-year commitment. So this could be the better value depending on how much these other companies want to charge for their own games channels and what they include in their channel. And one last thought about these type of platforms. Multiplayer games, unless they're cross-platform, you're only going to be able to play with the people that have this platform. So you're going to have to hope that enough people get your multiplayer game on this platform, or you're going to have a hell of a time trying to find a match. That's definitely something to think about, because that's something that a lot of people don't bring up when they talk about these streaming platforms. So let me know down in the comments what you guys think about the Amazon Luna, what you guys think about streaming platforms in general. Thank you for watching. Like the video if you guys liked it. And as always, have a fantastic day. See you guys.